Hi there guys. I've got a couple of videos up showing loading shotgun shells with the old lead loaders that come in a box, these box tool sets. And every now and then I get a comment from one of the viewers remarking as to how slow the whole setup is. And certainly they're not a very fast tool compared with a progressive press or even a single stage like a mech press or anything like that. But unfortunately I think the video gives a bit of an unfair impression of the system being slower than it really is, because when I'm loading the shells, I think I load about 5 in the videos, of course I'm going through quite a bit of explanation as to how the process works, and that of course slows the whole thing down quite a bit further. So I thought it might be kind of interesting to actually load a full box of 25 shells and time the whole process and let you see how long it takes to load a full box start to finish. Now of course that would be about as interesting as watching paint dry at a certain point in time. So what I plan to do is to edit this video to either speed up the fast forward through the loading, or if that doesn't work I'll just cut out some of the footage and show you the elapsed time. As an aid to figuring out how long this takes, I'm going to use my phone here with the timer set up on it. And I may pause between stages for a little bit of commentary. I've got everything I need, at least I hope I have everything I need in front of me here. I've got the loading tool set in the box, I've got primers, I've got hulls, I've got wads, I've got powder, I've got shot. So I'll stop talking now and I'll start with the whole process. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to deprime all the shells. So I'm going to get everything kind of out of the way here except for what I need. And we'll go through that initial starting stage, which is depriming all the shells, and I'll hit the start here and we'll commence. So there you go, just under 3 minutes to deprime 25 shells. So I'll clean these primers up and we'll start repriming. Okay, with all the hulls deprimed, it's now time to reprime. We got our primers all set out here, and I'll press the start button and we'll see how long that takes. So there you go, 3 minutes and about 6 seconds to reprime 25 shells. So we're going to reset that, and we'll move on to the next stage, which is going to be charging these with powder. Now to help me charge these cases, I'm going to use this loading block, and that'll help me separate the cases which are empty from the ones which are full. Pretty simple process, just simply immerse the powder dipper into the powder, give it a shake to level it off, invert, and set in the loading block. So I'll empty that back out so we can get a good time on that, and we'll go from there. There you go, 2 minutes and 35 seconds thereabouts to charge 25 cases with powder. Next thing we're going to do is seat the wads. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is insert the wads. I'm using these Remington plastic one-piece wads. In this case, most of these shells are opened up enough that it's unnecessary to use a wad guide. The wad can simply be started in by hand like that. There are a few shells here which have some more memory to the crimp. As you can see, it's going to be hard to get the wad started past that. So for these ones I'm going to use this plastic wad guide, and it'll help get past that crimp on those particular shells. But I think I'm going to try inserting the wads in without that in most cases. So let's start the timer and I'll get that underway. There we go, 2 minutes and 44 seconds to seat all 25 wads in the cases. Now you'll notice they're not seated really down hard against the powder, and we're not going to really worry about that until the next stage where we're going to apply the shot, and then we're going to crimp them after that. Alright, next part of the whole process is going to be to charge these shells with shot. So I've got some number 8 shot here. Probably use these shells for just shooting clay targets, so we don't need big coarse shot. And I've got the 1 ounce dipper. You can see the marking on it there. So we'll start the timer and we'll charge these up. There you go, 25 cases charged with shot in 2 minutes and about 3 seconds. Obviously at this point in time you can tell that the loading block is a really useful thing to have for this type of loading. Keeps your shells from falling over, keeps you organized, lets you immediately see which shells you've worked on, which ones you haven't. So I highly recommend making your own loading block if you're going to use one of these tools. It's faster and it's also safer. You get a better product because you can't make as many mistakes without noticing it. Alright, we're going to move on to the final couple of stages here. And they're going to be probably the slowest of all the different parts of this process. And those processes are starting the crimp and finishing the crimp. So it's going to be necessary to remove the shell from the loading block to do this. And we've got a 6-pointed nylon crimp starter here. Look up inside, you can see the 6 different points. And it will apply the start crimp to the shell, whereupon I will put it in the body of the tool and finish the crimp off by using the plunger. So I'll reset the timer here. And we'll start. Not a very auspicious start here, and a very poorly formed crimp. So there we go, that's the slow part of the process. 8 minutes and 43 seconds to crimp those shells. And I'd be lying if I told you I was happy with the crimps. The crimps kind of suck. The tool is not exceptionally good at crimping plastic hulls. They really were designed for crimping paper hulls, so plastic is not ideal. I will probably end up tearing a couple of these shells open because they didn't crimp very well at all. The rest of them I will probably run through my on one of my other machines and finish the crimp up a little better. So once I guess I'm done as far as this test goes. So we'll have to add up all the times and see how long this process took. Alright, the box of shells is loaded and I've had a chance to review the times that it took to complete the various steps. And for those of you who are sharp-eyed, you will notice in the very first portion of the video where I deprimed the shells, I actually missed depriming one of them. However, I started the timer and then realized I didn't have my rubber mallet with me, so that took me a few seconds to grab, so I'm going to discount the extra time that it took for that. So that was 2 minutes and 57 seconds to deprime, 3 minutes and 6 seconds to reprime, 2 minutes 35 seconds for the powder, 2 minutes 44 seconds to seat the wads, 2 minutes 3 seconds to put the shot in, and the lengthy part of it was 8 minutes and 43 seconds to do the crimping. So that adds up all together to be 22 minutes and 8 seconds to load a box of 25. So that's a pretty fair example of how long it would take you to load a box of shells using one of these tools. One of the points I'd like to make is that the plastic shells are really not ideal for these tools. If you use a paper hull, you will probably shave 4 or 5 minutes off that time, because these tools were really designed for the paper shells, and the paper shells do not require the crimp starter, so that removes part of the time from the whole equation, so you will save some time loading paper shells. Anyway, so hopefully that's of some interest to people who are sort of curious to know how long it would take to load a box of shells using one of these old Lee loaders. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you later.